Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. How are you today? I hope you are amazing. Alright, previously, I would like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Intan Putri Ayuni. I'm one of student at Maritime Raja Ali University. And the topic of my presentation is students' learning strategies for developing speaking ability by Sofyan Gani, Dian, Fajrina, and Rizaldy, Hanifa. Syiah Kuala University, Banda, Aceh, Indonesia. The focus of my presentation is on to study the learning strategies used by both low and high performance speaking students in developing their speaking skills, as well as the differences between the learning strategies used by both groups of learners. And I have divided my presentation into 6 main parts. And here's the outline of my presentation. I will start with the introduction about this study. Second, I will describe the review of literature. Next, I will discuss about the findings of this study. Then I will discussion about this study. Lastly, I will explain to conclusion of this study. And I will take 15 minutes of your time in this morning. And if you have any question, please feel free to interrupt. Alright, first of all, I'd like to look at introductions of this study, which is in this age of globalization, English has increasingly become the medium in every domain of communication, both in local and global contexts. As a result, there is a demand for speakers who can use English effectively in every country. Among the 4 key language skills, speaking is deemed to be the most important skill that must be mastered well in learning a new language. For a learner to master a language well, she or he must be able to speak that language. Speaking skills clearly indicates that the learner knows how to use that language. However, speaking a foreign language is not an easy skill to be mastered by learners. Learners consider speaking as the most difficult skill since it needs great courage as well and preparation to speak well in the new language. In addition, students must be able to use correct pronunciation. Otherwise, it will be difficult for listeners to understand them. Alright, in reality, the competency of senior high school students in Indonesia in speaking English is still a matter of concern. According to the recent curriculum 2030, students are expected to be able to express either transactional or interpersonal communication in a daily life context. In fact, the time spent by the students to learn these skills is thought to be long enough. Furthermore, although there have been variety of language teaching methods introduced at schools which emphasize to use the English language. And the second point, I'd like to make it about review of literature. There are speaking, language learning strategies, classification of language learning strategies. Speaking is an ability to orally express opinions, thoughts, and feelings for other people, animal, and even to oneself in speaking. The students learn how to organize ideas, arrange sentences, and express language in spoken form this with good pronunciation and comprehensible language. They must also learn about how to deliver the meaning of the language according to context as they are speaking. Secondly, Language learning strategies or language learners use language learning strategies in their learning process. From the many different strategies, there are many options from which learners consciously select in order to optimize their chances of success in achieving their goals in learning and using the language. Learners employ language learning strategies consciously when processing new information and performing tasks. These strategies help them to comprehend better and quicker. Therefore, language learning strategies are fundamental to success in learning in new language. By employing the nine strategies, the process of learning the language will improve significantly. Appropriate language learning strategies result in improved, faster language proficiency. Important role in the process of learning language. In brief, learning strategies can be seen as especially ways of processing information that are used by learners to improve comprehension, learning, or retention of the information learned. Alright, let's move on to the next point is methodology. This research study was conducted at high school number 3. We chose these classes because the classes were supervised by one teacher. The students were considered high performers according to certain indicators. They easily mastered new content being talked about. Then they spoke smoothly. This meant that they didn't have many ash, or word repetitions. They not only used good grammar, but also had good pronunciation and intonation. Furthermore, they used good speaking skills such as voice projection, vocal variety, expression, eye contact, and appropriate body language gestures. Contrariwise, the low performers were hesitant to speak due to the fact that they hadn't mastered the ability to speak well. They made much use of ash, and word repetition. They also had problems with speaking accuracy, used inappropriate pronunciation, intonation, and also often incorrect grammar. Alright, everyone. Now let's move on to the fourth point is about finding. There are data from questionnaire and data from interviews. Data from interviews in terms of unchanging pronunciation on the student with high speaking performance responded that they trained their accent by repeating and imitating sounds of words, listen to native speakers talk as well as to songs and watch English movies. Aside from that, there were also students who generally looked up a dictionary to know how words were pronounced. One student stated that he often paid much attention to the way his teacher talks in English. When it comes to the strategies, the enriched vocabulary, both high and low speaking performance students choose memorization. Some of the low performance students encountered new words from reading books. And if they met an unfamiliar word, they would take a note and later look up a dictionary to get the exact meaning. To make their grammar better, high performance students use various strategies such as memorizing tenses and grammar patterns, along with the basic formula. involved in sentence creation. Finally, they used and reviewed the basic formula they had learned to practice making sentence. Then we will do the discussion. From the result of the questionnaires, we noted that learning strategies most often used by the students with low speaking performance were usually comprehension and social strategies. Meanwhile, memory, cognitive metacognition, and affective performance had a better balance in the learning strategies they used. That is, these students employed memory, cognitive, and compensation strategies with much the same degree of frequency. This result indicate that high speaking performance students seem to be more aware of their language needs. Thus, they tended to utilize strategies that would help them master to target language through practicing, reasoning, and analyzing, as well as strategies that allow them to control their own learning through planning strategies and evaluating results. Moreover, these learners spend a great deal of time exercising to get control over their emotions and attitude through increasingly their motivation levels. Furthermore, through the data gathered from the interview, it became apparent that students with high speaking performance use more learning strategy, high speaking performance use more learning strategy than those with low speaking performance. Alright, I can finally say that the last point is conclusions. The research findings show that high speaking performance students use more learning strategies compared to those with low speaking performance. They employed 53 strategies to help them enhance their speaking abilities. With, the low performance students only used 29 strategies. Some of learning strategies employed mostly by high speaking performance student. The first, listening to English songs or audio or cognitive. Second, watching English movies, cognitive. Third, reading English books or novel. Alright, that concludes my presentation, and now I welcome your questions. If you have any question, I'm ready to answer them. Yes, please. Yes, I will answer your question. So, after collecting the document from the teachers, we noted and categorized the students with high or low speaking performance to identify the subject for this research. Yes, with my pleasure. Alright, does anyone have any question? More? Yes, please. Oh, okay. I will explain again for answer your question. So, meanwhile, to have better comprehension of spoken English, student proposed answer based on two situations. All right, is that clear? May we go on? All right, great. My pleasure, sir. Okay, you're welcome. Is there anyone more question? Yes, please. Oh, perhaps we could discuss that later or in another discussion. I'm sorry, that's not my field study. Sorry. Okay, any more question? Alright, if no question more, I think that's all the time I have for today. And thank you for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.